90% of it we were doing in camera. We were doing for real, and I think it's becoming a little bit of a lost art today. The opportunity to do it that way gives you a much more realistic look. I think there is a tendency now for people to go straight to a CGI.
Of course, the really cool thing was John Richardson was going to blow the whole thing up. And that was amazing. And to see, 4 city blocks, one building, one car, one intersection after another go off was just astounding. I mean, it took them, I think, 2 or 3 weeks just to rig the pyro in it. We must have stood back, I think, about a quarter of a mile. And the amazing thing was that the whole city block went off in stages.
The idea that the ozone layer is depleted and that life on the planet has become so unsupportable that it requires an artificial shield which is conveniently managed by a kind of soulless multinational corporation interested only in profits continues to be very topical.
How about, for starters, that there simply isn't enough energy on the planet to take down the shield without killing us all?
It is an interesting paradox that we have a hero who's immortal, but the life of the planet is finite. And so I rather like the fact that our immortal hero is directly addressing a problem which will result in Earth having more of a chance. Using his immortal power, walks into that beam which shatters the shield. So you get a sense of the potential of regeneration, which I think is a pretty strong theme.
There's the gentleman who created those giant statues using a hot wire. Those giant foam blocks that he would cut with that hot wire and rough these things out and glue them together, then work with a file and create these monstrous statues that you see all through the film.
Bravo, bravo.
He had a giant studio because these things are really big. That's all he did was, Russell would say, we need a 25-foot eagle. And the guy got it, and he would carve these things and they would paint it. It looked absolutely wonderful.
There's a certain tragedy about the statues, in a way, of a time gone by, of a quality of proudness and humanity that's maybe disappeared. So the statues, in some ways, have a sense of tragedy about them.
There are a number of ways to break the stress in Argentina, which were really, really a lot of fun. Needless to say, the women are absolutely beautiful in Argentina, so my whole crew was really happy. In fact, they didn't want to leave, which was its own little problem. But actually, the nightlife, the clubs are amazing. They're off the chart. They go till the sun rises. So as the visual effects unit, there's nothing better than showing up on a set and saying, oh, your shot isn't going to happen until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we could actually take our drivers and go out to a club for 3 or 4 hours at 5 in the morning.
But for the producers, it wasn't all fun and games.
Once you have started, because it is a bonded picture, which means that the completion bond has an obligation to deliver a finished picture, they are more hooked than us as producers because they have to finish. If they abandon, they will write off every cost up to that point. So even though they know they're in a disastrous situation, they have no option but to continue. But that doesn't mean that their relationship with the producers is wonderful, because it clearly wasn't.
It certainly was not. There were very difficult times, and it just kept getting worse. Even if you finished the day in the proper number of hours, got the shots you wanted, it still ended up costing more every single day.
Filmmaking in itself can be exhausting. Also dealing with problems that you normally don't have to deal with. The monetary problems of the film started to overshadow some of the safety aspects. There were some close accidents that happened. A lot of attention was going towards that and not towards the way one professionally makes a movie.
Every day became a confrontation, a battle of wills between the producers, the bonding company, the director, each one with their own agenda. The bonding company wanting just to finish the picture, the producers wanting to finish it within the creative concept that they had, but still having a responsibility to the budget, and the director wanting the best possible creative piece that he can put out. These cross currents in making this movie there were extreme.
But at the end of the day, you could go out and you'd be in Buenos Aires, and you could go to La Biela, or you could go to Munich and have a wonderful time, and everybody would say, no, it'll be better tomorrow. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. And for a few hours, you'd kind of let yourself get lulled into feeling that was going to be the case, and then the next morning, or when you got back to the hotel, the hammer dropped again.
I had this idea that if we built our own elevator and we counterweighted the elevator, we could use a descender rig. We built it with enough strength and integrity and control. It was safe enough to put the real actor on, and Christophe was game for it.
Hi, Chris. All right. Hi, Chris.
It was quite a daunting thing to be on, and this thing started to drop, and your stomach suddenly came up in your throat. But you had various things to hang on to on the top of the elevator. With the descender rig, we were able to control its braking and stop it a couple of feet short of the ground.
Generally, when you're on an elevator, you're inside the elevator, not on top of the elevator. In the movie business, you can be on top. So I don't want to miss that. That's the reason I love making action movies. I'm doing things that I cannot do in real life. I don't want to miss them.
I would like a suit of clothes by 3 o'clock.
My fondest memory from the production is one night, Sean Connery and just a couple of people went out tango dancing. And it was unbelievable. I even had to think to myself, you're dancing the tango with Sean Connery. I have to go home and call my mother and tell her this. She won't believe it. His Seanness. That evening itself was like a scene in a movie. A little kid from Los Angeles doing the tango with Sean Connery in Buenos Aires. Not bad.
When we got to Argentina and we were taken around, there was this quite spectacular dam that they could release water, and it wasn't necessarily in the script as part of the escape, but you sort of reworked the script according to what's available.
The original thought was that the stunt guys were all going to jump in the water and slide down the slippery slope that the water was going down. Just before they started shooting there, discovered that there were all sorts of underwater obstructions and things that might be a little bit uncomfortable for people sliding down.
We were on these sleds and we were going to sizzle in and then start to fight. I was there with one other stuntman, and we found out the last minute, if we go 10 feet too far, these giant metal spikes come up to break up any rocks and stuff, and we would have been impaled on them. I would have been gone and throw the other guy.
So they came up with the idea of the cable rigs, and I think my guys ended up working for 5 days and nights to get the cables and rigs set up.
It was frightening because we're coming down to this big bridge where the chopper went under and all that, coming down a wire that fast, freezing on top of it. Half the time you wish you got killed. I mean, we were frozen. It was freezing. And all of this water coming out, and the water rushing under you. And it was pretty exciting stuff to do.
Only in Argentina could you find something that spectacular looking, where they would allow you to turn the water off and on.
It affected the farmers downstream for about 4 years, but but we got our shots.
There were an awful lot of things that we had planned that we were never able to do. I mean, the battle sequence in the Valley of the Moon was one. We had designed as being this huge battle, a completely out-of-this-world look, and doing things really much bigger and better than they'd been done before. And we had the whole thing worked out, we had the whole thing planned, but we never got to film it.
It was traumatic. I'd never been in and have never since been in a situation